Moin moin and hello ladies and gentlemen, Donspektor here with another ear tip review. And today I have for you the Shanling, I don't know if I just say ear tips here, but this is the SE100. Yes, one of those other ear tips that puts a metal inlet in the ear tip, and today we check out what this thing can or can't do. First, that's how it comes, and this is one pair, clocks in at 10 to 12 bucks. I think on sale you can probably get it for like 9 bucks, and it would be in here, and it's clearly made for more ear tips, just you would have then probably like 2 or 3 pairs in here. I ordered the one pair because I wasn't even not sure if this would be good. And they only offer sizes S with 11mm, M with 12 and L with 13. So S is already, it's a bit too big. There should be an SS with like 10mm. M and L are okay, but then XL definitively is missing. So something like 14, 14.5 or 15mm is also lacking here. And then let's check out the ear tip itself. This here is the bad boy, and you can see what they are going for here. This, I don't know, like turbine style inlet, I would say. And as material, they're using liquid silicone, which is the reason why I bought this, because liquid silicone is an amazing material. Pretty good longevity, pretty comfortable, a bit sticky, so not for everybody, but I do like it very much. And in terms of comfort and fit here, I mean, yeah, this is okay. Again, what you might expect when they use a metal inlet like this. The front is just absolutely not squishy at all, like literally you cannot squish this, and that means it's not really that comfortable. Thankfully though, because the mantle on the outside, as you can see here, is a bit of thinner material and pretty damn squishable. It's not bad, but still this is not going to reach the comfort of the original liquid silicone ear tips, which I have here, and which also have a harder mantle around the outlet. But as you can see, it's still squishable. And yeah, this one here lacks that. But I give it to this ear tip due to the additional metal inlet here. Similar to the original liquid silicone, this stays pretty safe in your ear. That's generally what I experienced. If you have a bit thicker ring around the outlet here, it's a bit safer in your ear. But this one's squishy, while this one isn't. So after like, give or take 30 minutes, I do notice this in an uncomfortable way. And after like 40 to 50 minutes, I want to remove the ear tip out of my ear because it's just not that comfy. But for something that has a metal inlet, honestly, it's still okay. Yeah, the material, you also saw here again, is a bit on the thinner side compared to the other liquid silicones. So it still means it's squishy and will conform at least on the mantle at the back. And then bringing us to noise isolation. And I mean, the material is, as you can see again, medium thick. Let's get the original liquid silicone in here. You can see it's a bit thicker overall. And though this one has a metal inlet that should help at least a bit with insulation in theory. And in practice, I can tell you, yep, that's about true. This isolates above average. Not sure again if this is a metal inlet or just the tip itself, or maybe that you can still insert this reasonably well due to the back being nice and squishy. But I would say this reaches like a 6 on the 6.5 on my artificial isolation scale, where 10 is a super nice fitting foam tip with dense foam, and 1 is a really bad silicone ear tip. So it's like, yeah, a bit better than average, but not much more. Then coming to shaping sound, and again, I will talk about this first objectively, which I just listen to without having a measurement, and then I take a measurement, which is then the objective part next. But subjective, purely subjective first, this thing actually doesn't sound that much different from the original liquid silicone. You can see though, if I put them right next to each other, it is a bit shorter than the original. I would say like 1.5 millimeters or 1 millimeter at least. And that means in general, when we compare this to other silicone ear tips, the SE100 is definitively brighter. I would say like 3 to 4 decibels at best in the upper treble, but it is noticeably brighter than other ear tips out there. And that means if you have an IEM that is already considered to be bright, subjectively speaking, I wouldn't put this on. But again, the difference to the original liquid silicone is not really that big. Like, it might be that this might have a tiny bit more mid-treble, I don't know. It is sounding slightly different, but it's so nuanced that I'm unable to tell you exactly at which band it differs. Like, it is a bit different, but not much. And that brings me to objective. And I mean, you can clearly see by the measurements I do over the different sets that I have here. Quintet with and without pinner, or my SE100 with and without pinner. This is measuring pretty similar to the original liquid silicone and to most of the other liquid silicone tips out there. Granted, there are some that measure a bit less in the upper treble, and the original sometimes a bit more, but this is about in the ballpark of a brighter sounding ear tip in terms of measurements. Notice though that with the quintet in the pinner, this has noticeably more mid-treble, even a bit more lower treble. So it is very possible that in your ear this might actually boost mid to lower treble for you as well, because I can measure it here. But subjectively speaking, I cannot hear this. It's more like the SE7M in the pinner or without pinner, which is pretty stable there. That's how it sounds to me. Like, this doesn't really seem to boost mid or upper treble subjectively speaking to me. But again, your knowledge may vary. Like, your ear canal might just behave like the coupler here with the quintet. So yeah, it is possible. And that brings me to additional factors. And I'm tackling the big one first. You can see the metal inlet here, and this is glued in. And glued in things for something that is squishy and supposed to deform and being warm and being wet is not a good idea. I do expect this to fall out over time, and that also means when you clean this, just be very careful. Don't use alcohol, don't use hard soaps. Probably best just for warm water and maybe a light soap, but really be careful. This will, other detergents will cause this to fall out faster. So yeah, be careful with this. And that also means for what it's supposed to be, like an ear tip with a metal inlet, it probably won't last as long as the original liquid silicone ear tip here, which, I don't know, when did I do the review for this? 2 years ago or so? And you can see it has ever so lightly yellowed, like it got a bit more translucent, not transparent, I don't know, because confused these two. But really, it still looks pretty good, and I've been wearing this really a long time already, and it still maintained its squishiness, and it doesn't feel like it is not bouncy no more. So, the material is really good. So I'm not worried about the material of the SE100 as well. I'm more worried about the overall construction that will probably fall apart soon or later. And other than this, again, this is liquid silicone, so it is sticky. If I just put my finger on this and I try to move it forth and back, yeah, it ain't moving. It's just that. Granted, my bit older liquid silicone here, that is no longer as sticky as it used to be. But maybe I just need to clean it again thoroughly, and then it will be fine again. But yeah, so again, if you don't like sticky ear tips, the SE100 will not be for you. Bringing me then to the verdict. I mean, I'm not sure what generally is the idea of putting a metal inlet there. Especially one that is made of titanium, which to my knowledge isn't really good at transducing or vibrating. I think other metals do this quite a bit better. So I don't know what was the idea with this one here generally. Because yeah, while it does measure a bit brighter, as I said, and it does sound a bit brighter to my ear, I don't really perceive it as being more metallic overall. Sure, you could argue it sounds a bit more metallic, but on the normal listening volumes that I use in day-to-day life, which is, I said before in other reviews, a bit quieter than the 77 decibels that I measure, I don't really perceive much of a difference. And I would, in terms of comfort, always take the normal liquid silicone or the one from Rose Techniques, which is a tiny bit shorter and basically has even a tiny bit thicker material at any day of the week over the SE100. And that then still has on top that, yeah, this will probably not survive as long as the other ear tips. So, yeah, I don't really see a reason why to buy this. It is an interesting experiment to try out, and I guess other materials might give you a peak at like 8K or peak at 9K or something, maybe even at 6K. It depends on the material. It is possible. But again, only at higher volumes. At lower volumes, I just don't think this will vibrate enough to have a resonance somewhere. And even if you get this, like, do you really need a resonance peak? Is this really needed? I don't know. So I cannot recommend these, but these are not bad. If you want to dip your toes in this metal inlet world, $10 is not cheap for one pair, but it's also not ultra expensive. So yeah, it's not great, but you can probably live with it if you are interested in an ear tip like this. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Questions, recommendations, or criticisms, please leave a comment. Donspektor out.